How you doing? Paul Tobias from Tobias Music, located in suburban Chicago, majestic Downers Grove, Illinois. And we're here at NAMM 2022. Happy to report NAMM is back.
Yeah,
got a great crowd downstairs, and this Taylor booth is hopping.
Yeah.
So it seems that Taylor has a few new models to show, and we brought Mark Seal here to give us a little demo. Which one you got there now, Mark?
So, Paul, by the way, it's great to see you, man.
Good to see you. It's been a few years.
It's been a while. Paul's one of my good friends, and this is good to do.
Yeah, we've done some hanging out.
We have. So what's cool that Andy and Taylor did this year was we made Koa in a 700 series guitar, and the reason we did this is because we have more Koa than we've had in a while, and we found this new creative Koa that Andy's talking about. Calls it select grade Koa, right? And basically, when you crack open a Koa tree, you get the really crazy figured stuff on the high end. There's not that much of it. You get some of the smaller sets that we can use for GS minis, smaller body guitars, veneers, that kind of thing. But there's this great, middle section of Koa that is a woodworker's dream, really, as far as functionality, aging, all that type of thing. Not quite as figured as what we might put on our K series guitars. And so he's like, well, this needs a place to live. But his goal was to not create another K-series guitar just in a 700 series,
sure,
but rather give it a new voice. And before we started filming, we were talking about how it sounds and how it's completely different. So a couple things he did that made it really unique was, one, I don't know if you know, but the back bracing is different out underneath the back here. On the tips, he made it a little bit stiffer and made the back a little bit thinner. And as a result,
so a little bit of movement, maybe?
Yes, there's some kind of a different movement. They gave a different voice to it. Cool. And he coupled that with an ultra thin finish, which, our 800 series a few years ago, they did the 3.5 mil finish thing.
Sure.
So that was really thin. This is like 2 mil. He said this is as light as he'll go on a finish and still gives kind of the filter that it needs to get some of the characteristics out that we want.
Preserve the wood a little bit. You got to have some kind of finish.
Absolutely.
On there, but it really gives a nice glow to the guitar. Very organic look to it.
It's beautiful. And what's great about it is, you get this he used the term player reflective, and it's so apropos because it's this thing where when you play, you can feel the pores of the wood. You feel the instrument. And it feels very light, it feels airy, and I don't like to say dry, but it feels kind of dry, but in a good way, right?
Yeah.
It's just this real, and as a result, the sound is much more vibrant. It's still a little more punchy, So if I just play, it's just bright, but not bright in a negative way, bright in a very clear way, but also has that low end and
yeah, and I'll tell you, with our experience with Koa guitars over the years, we've been a Taylor dealer a long time. This is a unique tone. It's definitely different than Builder's Edition, the Koa Series Builder's Edition, and the regular Koa Series line. It has a certain spot in the tonal spectrum. You mentioned dry, woody, kind of a little more natural of a sound.
Definitely more natural,
very much
more
open.
It's very organic sounding. Yeah. I think what's also, it's not quite, the word brooding, like sometimes Koa to me, like, the nice, they kind of have a little bit of brooding tone. This doesn't have that. It's a little lighter across the board. So I think the cool thing is on this, you can still do your finger style stuff, if you're doing that. Doesn't require a lot of touch, but it has a nice kind of really balanced tone to it. Let me see that guitar over there, and we'll talk about the 722. So real quick, this is the 724, by the way, which the 24 is going to tell us it's the Grand Auditorium CE. It's got the cutaway, it's got electronics. The other thing we didn't talk about real quick also is the rosewood binding. That was off the menu for a long time.
Really well.
Yeah, we couldn't do rosewood for a while, as you know, and now that it's back on the menu, it just complemented this guitar really well. And then also these new polished bronze tuners are just spectacular. I think they're my favorite tuners we've ever made. It complements the organic look of the guitar so much. And you got back sides, the whole thing Koa. So when you
pick guard's pretty intense too. I mean, that's just the perfect accompaniment to the brown hues of the guitar. Adding a little flame to it with the maple pick guards, which is great.
All right, so here we have the 722, which is a grand concert, and our grand concerts are a smaller body guitar. So it has all the same features as the 724. It's still the thin finish, the different bracing, the polished bronze tuners, it's, you know, the rosewood, all that's the same, but just in that smaller footprint that a lot of fingerstyle players like. More traditionally, you can still strum on it.
Cozy guitar.
It's cozy, great recording guitar. It happens to be a 14th fret version, which is also cool. So if I play the same thing I played on the last guitar, that little it's actually a little louder with the lighter touch.
Sure.
If you do single notes on it. Kind of Hawaiian, right? You want to do a little hula?
Yeah, a little more of a compressed tone just with this, but you're right, a little more punchy than the bigger body. So this will suit a lot of different playing styles also, but yeah, that's killer.
Yeah, if you dig in. Still got that thing.
Oh yeah.
So you're not going to dominate the conversation with this guitar sonically, volume-wise, but it's got just a great sound and fit great in the mix, and really a wonderful recording guitar as well.
And I think we all know as Koa ages, some of those lower frequencies start to bloom down the road, but that's up to you to take the guitar home and play it, vibrate it.
Don't throw it in your closet.
No, yeah, it's meant to be played, but if you love the way it sounds now, you're really going to love it tomorrow as it ages a little more.
It's really true, and it'll be interesting to see how these age on the low end. With the different bracing he did on the back, there'll be something there.
Sure.
And I don't know, it's yet to be seen. That's kind of the fun part also.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the American Dream.
This one's killer.
It's insane,
This
right?
one is killer.
So what this is it's called a Flametop, and it's all maple, which traditionally we think of maple as a little brighter and a little, it doesn't sustain as long, those types of things. But what Andy did in designing this, they came up with doing all maple with it, but also changing the strings, which is kind of a shift for us. They went to an uncoated nickel bronze string, which is interesting. It gives it a completely different sound. And personally, I share that I have a 517, which is the same body shape, but different wood pairings. It's got a mahogany back and sides on it. And so I'm thinking, when I play that guitar, I thought, well, that's going to be warm. This is maple. It's going to be really bright. And it couldn't be further from the truth. You listen to this guitar. It's unlike anything that Taylor made at all. It sounds to me like nobody can describe it. And I listen, I'm like, it sounds like a completely finished, mixed acoustic guitar right out of the gate.
Coming out of the board.
Warm. Yeah, it's just so warm, but clear. It's truly my favorite sounding Taylor guitar right now. Just picking up, like, it sounds amazing.
Remember when we got our first one in the store and a couple strums into it, first thing I'm thinking is that emoji with the two eyes bulging out.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, listen to that. You don't think of a maple as a top wood, but there's something pretty unique about this one.
Yeah, it's just so counterintuitive. I think we've all been programmed of what we think of maple, whether you love it or hate it. It's its own thing, and this completely defies it. So it looks great. It's got the matte finish on it, and it's V-class bracing, of course, and then the different strings. It's just it's kind of the sum of the parts.
Much warmer than you would expect.
Much more
from a maple guitar.
This is the guitar that if I'm sitting in our house, truly just with our friends, unamplified, this is the guitar I'm going to grab. It's going to be great to support vocals. It's going to be great just to fill the room out in a nice.
Surprise the warmth coming this way right now. It's pretty incredible.
Wild, yeah. So great guitar, and you guys have them in stock already?
Oh yes, we have them in stock.
And back to the Koas real quick also, for those that don't know, those are readily available, which is great. We got ahead of the curve on that one this year.
Yeah, we know sometimes the marketing department is usually ahead of production department.
There you go.
This was a good launch because the production department was right there with the marketing department. So they're in stores now. Yeah, and these also.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Well, cool, man. I hope your viewers like this, and it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, Mark.
Always
You're welcome out in
dude.
Downers Grove, and thanks for watching. Again, Tobias Music. We've been there 44 years. We've been with Taylor for over 35 years now, so we have a very close relationship with these folks. And of course, NAMM show, every year you guys knock it out of the park, so we appreciate you having us.
Excellent.
So thanks, Mark.
Enjoy.